We're going to have time for 3 or 4 questions. Mr. Kemp, on this one, we're going to start with you, then Mr. McGinnity, Mr. Chastain. The General Assembly last year passed legislation requiring new voters who register to provide proof of citizenship, a birth certificate or some such. That law has yet to receive DOJ approval yet, Department of Justice approval yet. If Department of Justice rejects that, what are your options and what options would you pursue?
Well, that's a great question. I've spent a good bit of time on that the last 3 or 4 weeks since I've been in the Secretary of State's office. As you know, Secretary Handel has been fighting that battle. A little background, when I was in the Senate, I supported the common sense legislation that you should show a photo ID when you go to vote. I fully support the legislature passing Senate Bill 86 last year, which required citizenship. There was also a question of being in compliance with the Help America Vote Act on citizenship. There was a couple of pre-clearances that are trying to get done that unfortunately the Obama Justice Department, like many things that they're doing, are playing politics with. I seem to think that they're doing that because of the upcoming redistricting process that we're having. And I've been meeting with a lot of attorneys in our office, some independent counsel, also the Attorney General's office over the last few weeks to figure out what the best course of action is on Senate Bill 86, looking at the cost that it'll take. And we'll be making that decision very shortly after talking with the Governor and the Attorney General on how we proceed. But you will know this, I do support having a person be a citizen and being able to prove that when they register to vote.
Mr. McGinnity.
I absolutely support the law, and I think the answer to the question is pretty simple. If the Department of Justice refuses to let us implement the law, we need to go to court. That's the avenue available under the Voting Rights Act. That's the avenue we should pursue. And I joke when I get to speak to groups, it's one of the few times I get to stand in front of a group and say it's probably a good thing I'm a lawyer, because I actually understand how to manage litigation through the court process. I've done it in private business. I've done it in my career, and that's exactly the course that we need to take, is to take it to court and make sure that it gets enforced here in Georgia.
I do agree that only Georgia residents or U.S. citizens should be allowed to vote. My understanding is, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think there are 30 cases in front of the State Election Board right now that have alleged where illegal aliens have tried to vote. So the matter is very important. I said I would like to wait and see what DOJ does and then see what the State Attorney General, how he would want to handle it, or she. But I am concerned about the fact that we're real concerned about illegal aliens voting, but we're not as concerned about whether the votes get counted accurately. That is my bigger concern. So, you know, if you had a referendum up in Randolph County where 128 votes were left over after the county, there's 128 people whose votes weren't registered correctly or something was done wrong, and we're going to worry about the 30 illegal aliens. So I would agree, but I would let the forces of justice work that out first.
Okay, we're going to expand on that a little bit. We'll starting with you, Mr. McGinnity. Mr. Chastain has raised the point. How trustworthy are Georgia's automated voting machines?
Joe, excuse me, would y'all hold the mic up real close and talk as loud as you can? Because the people in the background will try to hear you.
Okay, is that better? I think
Louder.
Louder. All right, I'll yell. I think the voting machines are generally trustworthy, but I would have a habit plan that I think makes a lot of sense. I think we need to put in place as a way to audit the systems, and I've talked to some technology folks, I've talked to some election lawyers, and I think there's a cost-effective way to make sure or to prove or disprove once and for all whether these machines count accurately or not. I'm a little suspect of an Ivy League study. I have a little experience with those, and I think you need to take them with a grain of salt before you just accept them. So I think there's some stuff we can do, we should put in place that's cost effective to find out the answer to that question. And I would certainly do that if I'm elected.
Mr. Chastain.
They are not accurate. They were not accurate when they were purchased at a cost of $54 million. The software and the machines have not been upgraded since 2005. a former member of my local board of elections admits that part of the problems with the hardware is that humidity and temperature extremes affect the electronics. If you will go online to YouTube, you will see where Oprah Winfrey, we all know who she was going to vote for president, and she explains how she went to vote in Illinois using a similar kind of machine that we had, and it wouldn't take her vote for President Obama at that time. So I don't need to do any investigations. I spent the better part of a day, December 29th, doing my own study in the state archives, which is also part of the Secretary of State's office, and I pulled out election records. And I can tell you that there are debug machines that are not working, and that there was one county let's say I mentioned the one with 128. We've had other counties where 900, almost 1,000 votes were left in the machine during the test in the morning in the November election.
I got to call time. Mr. Kemp, how trustworthy are our voting machines?
Well, I think the machines are trustworthy. I've been campaigning for this office for 13 months, and I've had about 4 people ask questions about our electronic voting machines. But don't get me wrong, I don't think that there's not problems in the issue that Mr. Chastain just brought up about the Lowndes County election. There was a problem down there, but because of the processes and the safeguards that there are on the local level and the state level, that situation came to light. There's been a little resolution of that, but there's some investigations going on right now, and there'll be some more things that come out about it. But on our website, KempMeansBusiness.com, we have a safe elections plan. We talk about the voting machines and a lot of other things. And I think in the future, I would like to see us have a different type of machine, either go to optical scan, have some sort of paper verification. But I think in this economy, when we're laying off school teachers, when we're furloughing people, when we're having to deal with transportation issues, and you've got 80-something% of the general electorate in Georgia supports and thinks the machines are trustworthy, I just don't see the legislature spending $50 million to replace the machine. Now, if they want to, I will be ready to lead the charge with our nonpartisan election commission, which I've proposed to look into those things so we don't have one person making a decision on these issues in the future.
Okay, call time. Gentlemen.